English for gentle minds.
A space for calm clarity and meaningful conversations.
Hey there, welcome to Gentle Minds. I'm John.
And I'm Brittany. So good to have you here.
We talk a lot about understanding people, emotions, and how to live better, but today we're asking something simple and maybe a bit tricky.
Can you actually learn how to be likable? Or is that just something you're born with?
Yeah, you know those people who walk into a room and everyone just kind of lights up?
They don't even say anything smart. Sometimes they just smile or nod or laugh at the right moment, and suddenly everybody wants to be their best friend.
Right, it feels like magic. But maybe it's not. Maybe it's a bunch of small habits.
Which is great news if, like me, you've ever walked into a group and immediately thought, okay, I want to leave.
Same, I've been there. You think, should I say hi? Should I wait? Should I pretend to text?
And then you finally speak, and it sounds weird. Like your voice comes out all wrong and you say something like, nice shoes. And then you're like, why did I say that?
Exactly. So today we're breaking it down. What are the real behaviors that make someone instantly likable? Not fake charm, not trying too hard, just real stuff that works.
We're going to talk about jokes, compliments, how you greet people, little things you do with your face or voice that change how others feel around you.
But we're not just listing tips. We're sharing stories, our stories and stories from people we know.
And here's the thing. John and I don't always agree.
No, we really don't. I tend to think there's a skill to this, that it's about paying attention and being intentional.
And I think it's mostly about energy. Some people just have that spark, and trying to fake it, you can smell it from a mile away.
But maybe we'll meet in the middle.
We always do. Okay, let's dive in. First up, the one person in your life who always makes people laugh, even with the dumbest joke, and why it totally works.
Uncle Sam.
Oh my God, yes. Your Uncle Sam. Tell them about your uncle.
Uncle Sam is this guy in our family who tells the worst jokes, like truly bad, the kind where you groan before you even laugh. But here's the thing, people love him.
He's the one with the banana walked into a bar kind of jokes, right?
Exactly. They make no sense. Like one time at a family dinner, he said, I used to play piano by ear, but now I use my hands. And everyone laughed, not because it was clever, but because of how he said it.
That kind of delivery is a skill, though. He looks right at you, like you're in on it. Then he says the joke, waits, and grins. It's like he gives you permission to laugh.
Right, it's the confidence. He just owns it. He never asks, was that funny? Or apologizes. He just moves on like, yeah, that was a joke, you're welcome.
You can tell he's not trying to be cool. He just loves the joy part.
And I think that's part of what makes him likable. He doesn't take himself seriously. He lets other people feel relaxed.
I've noticed that too. People like to laugh, but they really love when someone wants them to laugh. You feel kind of cared for.
And it's not just that he's funny. It's that he gives off this vibe that says, I'm safe to be weird with. You don't feel judged around him.
Okay, but here's my question. What if you try to be funny and it just lands badly? Like, people just stare at you.
That's happened to me, many times. I think the difference is, are you laughing too? If you can laugh at your own bad joke, people join in. But if you act nervous or embarrassed, then it gets awkward.
Yeah, and the tone matters. If it's gentle or silly, people usually go with it. But if it's sarcastic or kind of mean, it can feel risky.
Exactly. Humor should feel like an invitation, not a test.
My cousin Josh does this thing. He'll say something kind of dumb on purpose, like, did you know birds are just skyfish? And then he'll just stare blankly.
That's genius.
And people laugh, because he's clearly not serious. It's a little absurd, but you feel like he's just trying to have fun.
And again, it's confidence. It's how you carry it. Even if the joke is silly, the way you say it makes all the difference.
I think the real trick is to joke with people, not at them. Like, make the space lighter, not sharper.
Yeah, innocent comedy. That's the word. And it goes a long way.
Okay, so what's next? Should we talk about remembering details?
Yes, because my cousin Hannah does that, and it's kind of amazing, and maybe a little scary. So, Hannah, my cousin, she has this skill. You tell her something once, just once, and she remembers it forever.
Oof, that's rare. What kind of things does she remember?
Like I mentioned to her one time months ago,
that I like this obscure blueberry tea. I totally forgot about it. Then, out of nowhere, she shows up to this family picnic with a box of it.
Stop. That's like next level caring.
It really is. And it wasn't a big deal to her. She just said, "Oh, I saw this and thought of you." But to me, it was huge.
Yeah, because it means she was listening. Like really listening, not just nodding until it was her turn to talk.
Exactly. And that's what makes her so likable. You feel seen.
Okay, but let me play devil's advocate. Can that ever feel too intense? Like creepy?
Yeah, if you bring up something too personal or something they didn't mean to share, it can get weird.
Totally. Like, hey, how's your fear of elevators going?
That's not it.
Nope, the key is what you remember. It's safer to remember little positive things. What someone's favorite snack is, the band they love, what they said they were excited about.
Yeah, it's like gentle memory. You're showing them you matter without putting them on the spot.
And when she asks follow-up questions, it doesn't feel like she's checking up on you. It feels like she cares.
I had a coworker once who did this with birthdays, but not just the date. He'd remember what kind of cake people liked. So when someone had a birthday, he'd bring in their favorite.
That's genius.
And he wasn't super loud or social otherwise, but people loved him. He made them feel special in quiet ways.
It's funny how those small actions carry so much weight.
Because they're rare. We're all rushing around, half listening. So when someone really hears you, it sticks.
All right, now let's flip it. What if saying, "I like you" feels weird?
Oh, you mean like compliments?
Yeah, giving them and doing it right.
Okay, this one's personal. I used to hate giving compliments
Why?
because I didn't know how to do it without sounding fake. I'd be like, your shirt is nice, and then I'd overthink it for 2 hours.
Yeah, it can feel forced if you don't mean it.
Exactly. But then I started watching my friend Layla. She compliments people all the time, but it never sounds weird. You know what she does?
What?
She points out specific things. Like instead of saying, "You're smart," she'll say, "I like how you explain things without making them complicated." It lands better.
That's so good. It feels earned.
Right. And even when she compliments someone's outfit, she'll say, those shoes look like they belong in a movie. It's fun, not flat.
I think the trick is staying honest. If you don't mean it, don't say it. But if something stands out, say it directly.
Yeah. And you don't have to wait for a big moment. My sister once told a cashier, "You have such a calming voice." And the guy lit up.
That's a great one. It's kind, it's simple, and it makes someone's day.
I actually had someone compliment me behind my back once.
A friend told me later, oh, Jack said you're really easy to talk to. And I swear it meant more than if he'd told me to my face.
That's powerful. When someone talks you up when you're not even in the room, that sticks with you.
It makes you trust them more too. Like, okay, you're not just nice to me, you're actually kind.
But here's where people mess up. They give a compliment, then undercut it. Like, "You're so good at that, not that I care about stuff like that or anything."
Ugh, yes. Just let the compliment land. Don't yank it back.
Yeah, and the other side of that is accepting compliments well. When someone says you're really thoughtful, don't say, "No, I'm not." Just say thank you.
It took me a long time to learn that. I used to brush them off because it felt awkward.
But now I try to just receive it.
Because rejecting it doesn't make you humble. It makes the other person feel wrong.
Totally. Okay, we've done jokes, memory, and compliments. What's next?
Let's talk about passions. People light up when they talk about what they love. And there's one person in my life who does this like no one else.
The dog lady?
Yep, my Aunt Grace. She's obsessed with dogs. Not just I like dogs, but full-on lives for them.
I remember you saying she carries dog treats in her bag.
Always. Even when she's not with a dog. Just in case she meets one.
That's commitment.
But here's the thing. People love talking to her. Even people who aren't dog people. She just has this way of pulling you into it. She'll ask you, "What kind of dog do you think you'd be?" And then she'll actually care about your answer.
That's so fun. Like it turns into a story.
Yeah, and she's never trying to impress. She just loves it. And when she talks about dogs, it's like the whole room softens.
It's the energy, right? When someone's excited about something, it spreads.
Exactly. You don't even have to like the same thing. You just like them.
I think that's a key point. You don't need to relate to everything someone says. You just have to be curious.
And ask questions. Like, if someone says they're into rock climbing, you don't need to know anything about it. You can ask, "What's the scariest part?" Or, "Do you ever just look down and regret everything?"
Haha, yes. Even silly questions show you're listening.
Right. And here's what's interesting. When someone talks about their passion, they relax. Their face changes. They start using their hands. You're seeing the real them.
I had a friend in college who was obsessed with jazz. I didn't care at all. But when I asked about it, his whole mood changed. He got so animated. And suddenly, I cared a little more, just because he did.
Exactly. Passion creates connection, but you have to be careful not to fake interest.
Yeah, like, don't ask someone about their weird hobby and then laugh or make it a joke.
Right, you're not studying them, you're joining them for a second.
It also gives them a chance to ask about you. That's how real conversations grow.
And sometimes that's how friendships start. Over something small like comic books or knitting or bird watching.
Okay, so here's the test. What's something you pretend to care about but really don't?
Fantasy football.
Haha, mine is wine. I nod and smile like I know the difference, but I don't.
See, but we try. And that effort, being curious, that's what matters.
Exactly. You don't need to be deep, you just need to be present.
All right, let's move on to something awkward. When you're in a group and don't introduce yourself. I did that once and totally regretted it.
Ooh, group dynamics. A few years ago, I was invited to this birthday dinner. I only knew one person there, my friend Matt. Everyone else was a stranger.
Right? So I show up, I sit down, and I just wait. I don't say anything. I don't introduce myself. I just kind of exist.
That's already stressful.
Exactly. But no one did. They were all already talking, and I was just sitting there, nodding quietly, sipping water like it was a full-time job.
Oof, I've done that. You hope someone notices you're new and saves you.
The whole dinner, I barely said a word, and afterward, I felt invisible. Not because they were rude, because I didn't step in.
How long did that last?
And later I realized all I had to do was say, "Hey, I'm John. I don't know most of you, but I'm happy to be here." That would have changed the whole vibe.
Yeah, it's like you have to give people permission to talk to you.
Yeah, you don't have to be loud, just present.
Totally. Even just making eye contact and smiling at someone can open a door.
That's powerful. Introducing yourself makes space for others.
I went to a workshop once where everyone had to sit in a circle. When a new person joined, most people just shifted their chairs. But this one girl stood up, smiled, and said, "Hi, I'm Tasha." It changed everything. The new person instantly relaxed.
That's such a gift. You're helping them connect.
And introducing others? Even better. Like, "Hey, this is Mike. He's into photography." Boom. Now people have a way to talk to each other.
And you don't need to have the perfect words. You can just say, "Hey, what's your name?" Or, "I don't think we've met yet."
I think a lot of us wait to be invited in. But when you do the inviting, it makes you stand out.
Exactly. People are usually focused on their own nerves too.
Or even, "Mind if I jump in?" if people are talking. Most groups are happy to include you. They just don't always notice you need that.
It is. And now, let's take a moment to talk about why this kind of podcast helps English learners. Because the way we speak here, it's full of useful patterns.
Okay, so we've covered humor, memory, compliments, passions, and introductions. That's a lot already.
Yeah, if you're listening to this and thinking, "Wait, how does this help me speak better English?" Good question.
Time to zoom out. Let's talk learning. Let's pause and talk directly to our English learners for a second.
And that's actually the point. This is how people speak in real life. It's messy, it's full of pauses and laughs and random comments, but it's also packed with useful patterns.
Because we're not giving you a lesson. We're just talking.
And your brain starts picking them up. You're not memorizing, you're absorbing.
You start hearing the same kinds of phrases. "I had a friend who," or "it just feels like," or "you know what I mean?" You hear them over and over.
Exactly. Like how we stretch words when we're surprised, or how we lower our voice when we say something personal. That stuff matters more than grammar sometimes.
And here's something cool. When you listen like this, your brain doesn't just hear the words. It hears the rhythm, the music of how people talk.
And if you start using those patterns, you'll sound more natural too. Not because you're copying, but because you're building your own version of fluency.
Also, the repetition. You probably noticed how many times we said, "That's the thing," or "Here's what I noticed," or "It just works." That's not lazy, it's natural.
Yeah, and that's not a problem. If you speak slowly and clearly, people will thank you. It gives them space to follow.
Another thing, slow speech is okay. John talks slower than me. He pauses a lot.
And when we tell stories, you get to hear how we use the past tense, how we jump between times, how we react.
And it helps you think. You don't have to rush just to sound fluent.
And the more you hear, the more your mouth will start to copy, even without trying.
So, yeah, this podcast is like a language gym. Just by listening, your brain's already training.
All right, let's talk about some of the words and phrases we've used so far, because a lot of them are gold for everyday conversation.
Okay, now let's go deeper. Let's pull out some of the useful words and phrases we've already used and talk about why they're golden.
Like this one, shows up. Remember when I said my cousin showed up with tea? That just means she came somewhere and brought something. It's casual, it's quick, and it's used all the time.
Yeah, not fancy stuff, just real, useful English. Things people actually say.
Another one we say a lot is kind of, like it kind of worked or it kind of made me laugh. It softens your meaning a bit, makes it more natural.
Yeah, you can say, he showed up late or she showed up with pizza. It's so normal and easy to slip into conversation.
And you used lit up earlier, remember that?
It's like you're not saying it completely did something, just kind of.
That phrase gets used a lot with faces, especially with kids or when someone's excited.
Yeah, when I said someone's face lit up after a compliment, it means they looked really happy. Suddenly, their whole face changed.
Right, and it's short, simple, and you can use it about emotions too, like, that message didn't land the way I hoped.
Here's another one. That lands better. I said that about compliments. If something lands, it means people receive it well. Like, that joke landed or that didn't really land.
Like, he has a calm vibe, or the room had a weird vibe. It's informal, but everyone uses it.
Oh, and I kept saying vibe. I love that word. It just means the feeling or atmosphere of something.
I also said permission to be weird. That's not about real permission. It's just a way of saying someone makes it okay to relax, to be silly, to be yourself.
And here's a good chunk. He gives off this vibe that says, you can use that to talk about what someone feels like to be around, not just what they do.
That's a strong image, and useful for describing people who have energy or passion.
Another great one, pulls you into it, like when someone's excited and you start to care too. You're being pulled in emotionally.
And also, that stuck with me. We said that a couple times. It means something stayed in your memory or had an impact.
Let's not forget makes you feel seen. That one's powerful. It means someone noticed you, not just your body, but you.
And the phrase, you don't need to relate to everything, is great too. Relate to means you understand or connect emotionally with something.
Carry weight is another. You said small actions carry weight. It means they matter more than they seem.
And finally, say it directly. We use that talking about compliments. It means don't go around it, don't make it complicated, just be clear.
Also, jump in. Like when you want to join a conversation, you can say, mind if I jump in? That's so useful in group settings.
And they're easy to pick up. Not fancy, not stiff, just stuff you hear in normal talk.
If you take just a few of these phrases and start using them, your English will sound way more natural.
Yeah, no rules, just patterns we use today that your brain is already learning. If you've made it this far, first of all, nice work. Now let's talk about what kind of grammar is hiding in everything we've said so far.
Okay, now that we've played with words, let's go even deeper. Grammar time. But don't worry, we're keeping it chill.
Let's start with the past tense. We used it constantly. I said, I showed up. He smiled. She remembered. Every story we told used that.
Because we've been using real patterns all the way through. And even if you didn't notice, your brain did.
And we mix that with present tense for reactions. Like when I said, that feels weird, while telling a past story.
It's always like that with real conversations. If you're telling a story or giving an example, you live in the past tense for a while.
We also used a lot of present perfect. Stuff like, I've done that, I've been there, I've noticed that. That tense connects something from before to now.
Yeah, you can do both. The past is for what happened. The present is for what you still think or feel about it.
And then there's modal verbs. We've said can, should, might, would a bunch of times.
That's why it works well in conversations. You're not just giving history, you're showing how it still matters.
Those words help soften your ideas. They turn orders into suggestions. They let you sound flexible.
Like, you can just say hello, or you should ask questions, or that might feel awkward.
We also use some conditionals. Like, if you do that, people notice. Or if I had said hi, it would have gone better.
And they let you explore ideas without sounding too strong. You're inviting, not pushing.
And we asked each other a lot of questions, natural ones. Why did you do that? What made you say that? How long did that last? These are all real question forms.
Conditionals help with reflection. They let you talk about what could happen, what might have happened, or what won't happen.
And even our pauses, when we said things like, you know what I mean? Or right? Those little checks also help build grammar patterns in your brain.
They're short, direct, and they're how people actually talk. You don't need fancy words to ask something meaningful.
And the more you hear these patterns, the more they stick. You'll start saying them without even thinking.
So yeah, grammar's not always about charts. It's about listening and noticing the shape of how people speak.
Right, let's start with compliments. If you're not sure what to say, try something like, that really stuck with me. You can use it after someone shares a story, gives advice, or even tells a joke.
Okay, we've looked at grammar, vocab, and stories. But now let's give you something extra. How to use all of this in your life, for real. So now let's talk about how you actually use this stuff. Not in class. In real life. At the store, at work, at a party, wherever.
And instead of saying, I like you, directly, which can feel awkward, go for something like, you always make things feel easy, or you've got good energy. It's simple and it's true.
Yeah, or if someone helps you, you can say, that made a big difference. That's short, warm, and it's not too heavy.
And when someone joins a group, say, hey, I don't think we've met yet, I'm John. That one works anywhere. Work, events, meetups, it's soft but strong.
I also like using questions to keep things moving. If you're stuck, try, what got you into that? Or how did that start? It shows interest without pressure.
You can also use phrases like, that's actually really cool, or I never thought about it like that. These are great when someone shares something personal or unique.
Or if someone looks like they don't know where to jump in, try, wanna join us? It doesn't matter if it's a lunch table or a conversation. It gives them permission.
And for being funny in a soft way, that's wild, or that's one way to do it, can land well without making fun of anyone.
For curious energy, one of my favorites is, tell me more about that. That's it, 3 words. But it opens up everything.
That's such a good point. Comfort in silence shows you're confident, and it lets people breathe.
Also, silence. Don't be afraid of it. If someone finishes talking, you don't have to fill it right away. Sometimes just nodding, smiling, and waiting makes the other person go deeper.
And if you want to show agreement without just saying yes all the time, try for sure, or absolutely, or even just with a clear tone.
If you want to vary your phrases, you can swap, I get that, with totally makes sense, or yeah, I've been there. These little sentence chunks help you sound natural.
Because you're not translating in your head, you're thinking in real conversation moves.
These are all simple things, but they change how people feel around you, and they make you feel more fluent too.
All right, that's the end of this episode. But if you remember just one thing,
Exactly. And the more you practice, the more it flows. Like driving, you don't think about the wheel once it's part of you.
and that's a skill, one you can build, one you are building.
Being likable isn't about being perfect. It's about making others feel comfortable around you. You've got this.
We'll see you next time on Gentle Minds.
You've got this. Thanks for hanging out with us today. Take care.